It's one of the world's largest and most influential scientific congresses for anesthesiology and intensive care. After 2 years of virtual editions of the Congress, we're officially back in person in the beautiful city of Milan. The global anesthesia community is finally able to reunite, interact, have face-to-face debates, and discuss the latest ideas and innovations in the field. It's Euroanaesthesia 2022, and we're Euroanaesthesia TV. Welcome to Euroanaesthesia 2022. We are so excited to have everybody back together again as we kick off Euroanaesthesia TV here at the Milano Convention Centre. With new shows every day of the meeting, we'll be bringing you the latest in anesthesia and intensive care, hearing from plenary speakers and getting updates on key ESAIC projects. We'll also be visiting hospitals around the world who are carrying out innovative work in the field. Today, we hear from this year's Professor Ibsen Lecturer, Professor Kai Zacharowski. We'll take a look at the latest work from Hospital for Special Surgery in New York, as well as visiting hospitals in Jibo City, China. And we'll be discussing new drugs for anesthesia and artificial intelligence for drug delivery with Professor Michel Struys. First though, I'm joined by ESAIC President, Professor Edoardo De Robertis, to tell us more about this year's meeting. Professor De Robertis, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So we're finally able to meet in person after more than 2 years since the pandemic. What do you think being in Milan brings to the meeting?
First of all, it's very important for us all to be together again and to meet again, to exchange ideas, experiences, finally after 2 years of a very, very strong fight in front line in our intensive cares and hospitals. And this venue is fantastic. It's one of the most important and largest center for congresses. So I think that people will enjoy a lot to be together, share experiences, and also share some feeling of the Italian life.
What do you think will be some of the scientific highlights this year?
Well, the scientific content of the Congress, it's so huge and impressive. So many things will be debated and discussed, but I think that we will start with some wonderful lectures, the Sir McIntosh lectures and Professor Ibsen lectures. Then we will keep on with touching many aspects of our discipline. I think what is more important at the moment is the presentation of the results of some trials, like for instance the use of a PEEP level in intraoperative or the ventilation effects on postoperative. But then we will also have the presentation ahead of publication of our guidelines, and also some funny things will happen here because we will start an experience what we have called the serious game. It's something in which the people will play and will be challenged to have teamwork, leadership experience, and so I think it will be very, very interesting also to see how they will be received.
And just finally, let's look ahead to next year. What's the latest news on the plans for Euroanaesthesia 2023?
We have already started to work. We will gather in Glasgow, Scotland, and it will be another fantastic congress. I cannot anticipate much. I think that one of the main theme will be green anesthesia and sustainability. That are two aspects, two challenges of our day.
Well, plenty to look forward to this conference, this meeting, and also next year. Dr. Robertis, thank you so much for joining us and have a fantastic meeting.
Thank you very much.
Well, lots there to see and do. Now for an interview with this year's Professor Ibsen Lecturer, Professor Kai Zacharowski. Professor Zacharowski, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you with us. So let's talk about your lecture. The title of your lecture is From Pandemic to ESAIC. Can you tell us about the key topic of your talk?
Absolutely. Pandemic, we're all aware of it. It's all around the last 2 years. And we have learned so much from the pandemic, but there was another pandemic 70 years ago, and this was when intensive care medicine was born. And the first person who founded intensive care medicine was an anesthesiologist.
And you'll be talking in more detail about that. What would you like the audience to take away from your talk?
I will talk absolutely in detail, but also about pandemics in general, but also I will give a message to the audience, and this is number one. We're doing something for society. We have treated so many patients, and we have to make the public aware of what we're doing, and people don't know what we're doing. So that is one of the key messages.
And how would you say ESAIC has adapted to the challenges which have arisen from the pandemic, and how is it continuing to provide support for anesthesiologists and intensivists worldwide?
We had a transformation from the name of the society from ESA to ESAIC, and we included intensive care medicine. The reason is very simple, because we did a study and found out that over 70% of all intensive care beds in Europe are run by anesthesiologists. So it was very clear we had to change our name.
It has been a transformative period for anesthesiologists and the medical field as a whole. How would you say anesthesia care has been changing over the years?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, one thing is always financial pressure. Then obviously the most important thing is we do care for patients, we treat patients, we want to have the best outcome and the highest standard of patient safety. To bring all together with good people, we are evolving on a level which is good, but we're aiming for more.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Professor Zacharowski, and we wish you a great meeting.
Thank you very much.
Remember, you can watch Euroanaesthesia TV here at the Milano Convention Centre. Find us on the Euroanaesthesia 2022 website, on the virtual platform, on the meeting app, and on YouTube and Twitter. Now for the first of our visits to organisations around the world, let's head to New York and take a look at Hospital for Special Surgery. HSS is a world leader in the practice of regional and orthopaedic anaesthesia, as well as being pioneers in research, clinical innovation, and cutting-edge educational programs. Let's take a look.
Anesthesiology has changed tremendously in the last few years, and we've had to adapt to the changes in what's required. So the largest changes that have occurred are moving more peripherally in terms of our anesthesia and pain management. We're now numbing smaller and smaller nerves more distally, and the advances in ultrasound-guided imaging has allowed us to do that. HSS is rated one of the top orthopedic hospitals, if not the top orthopedic hospital in the world. There are many reasons for that. The biggest reason, I think, are our exceptional outcomes. Our anesthesiologists focus on one thing: orthopedic and regional anesthesia. The department is a mix of an academic and private group, and we really have the best of both worlds. We are completely focused on clinical care, academic excellence, and administrative excellence as well.
Next, let's visit Jibo City in China to see how no pain labour and delivery global health initiatives, collaborations with Chinese hospitals, are helping to improve outcomes for mothers and babies.
2016年，无痛分娩中国型的专家团队第一次进入我们医院，通过培训和演练，规范了无痛分娩和5分钟即可剖宫产的流程，进一步保障了产科麻醉和产房的安全。2018年呢，我们医院无痛分娩呢，仅开展了2189例，无痛分娩总量位居全市的第1位。2019年呢，我们被国家卫健委列为全国第一批无痛分娩的试点医院，并在国内首家开启了宝贝第1计划的行动。
We actually got very positive results from our collaborating hospital, which is about 108 hospitals.
Their maternal and fetal outcomes get dramatically improved. What we see is cesarean delivery rate decreased. We see forceps rate decreased. We see, interestingly, blood usage was decreased. We see all the baby data get better.
Now let's welcome Professor Michel Struys, who's participating in a session on new drugs for anaesthesia and artificial intelligence for drug delivery. Professor Struys, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So you are participating in the meeting in many sessions, I know, but you're joining us today to talk about a couple of those sessions.
Yes.
The first one is a session that you're chairing on novel drugs, but I know it's a lightning session. What's the lightning session?
Well, the lightning sessions are one of the new formats that we propose here at Euroanaesthesia. It's a set of small talks. Each talk is 10 minutes covering a very specific topic. So we have 5 of these lectures in a 1-hour session.
So can you talk us through some of the novel drugs then that we'll be talking about in the sessions and new approaches for anaesthesia and sedation?
Yes, in perioperative medicine in general, we have like 2 categories of new drugs. Of course, we are working with hypnotics and analgesics. That's what we will also cover in the session. For the hypnotics, we have some new molecules that are discovered and now into development. One is reaching the market in Europe. For the analgesics, some new drugs are also in the pipelines, and these are the drugs that we will cover in that lightning session.
Can you tell us what have been the milestones and the potential difficulties in drug development?
Well, of course, we are a niche market. Nevertheless, we feel that perioperative medicine also deserves some new drugs. Short-acting drugs, safe drugs, titratable drugs with a stable cardiovascular and respiratory profile. That's are the drugs that we are looking for. And if we have an antidote, an antagonist for that drug, that's even better. And we have some that are coming out now.
Let's talk a little bit as well about the talk that you're giving on Monday. It's about artificial intelligence in drug delivery. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, the talk is more than only artificial intelligence. It's also about technology in anesthesia, and we are a very techy profession. So it's about all sorts of technology that is incorporated in our machinery for drug development. It can be an algorithm. It can be a model, a pharmacokinetic, pharmacodynamic model, for example, that helps you how to optimize your drug titration.
And what would you say are the benefits or the caveats when applying advanced technology in drug delivery?
Well, the advantages are, of course, that the anesthesiologist or the clinician can be helped by that technology. It assists the clinician, like, for example, your GPS or your cruise control in your car. That doesn't mean that you don't have a job any longer, that it's taking over your job. It's like an assisting device to help you, to guide you, to optimize, for example, your drug titration. This is one of the biggest advantages, if you trust the technology, of course.
And just finally, how would you say AI will help the anesthesiologist in achieving optimal drug titration?
Artificial intelligence is, of course, the last step or the ultimate step in advanced technology. Because with AI, you can create a system that is learning from the patient, that is adapting its algorithm or its model to fine-tune towards a real patient individualized drug titration. So that's the ultimate form of technology.
Professor Struys, thank you so much for joining us, and I know you've got a very busy weekend ahead, so have a great meeting.
Thank you.
Make sure to catch those sessions for the very latest on drug development and artificial intelligence in anaesthesia. Well, that's it from our first show here in Milan. But do join us again tomorrow when we'll be getting the very latest on post-operative delirium, getting insights into the Outcomes Research Consortium, and taking a very first look at ESAIC's brand new educational workshop, Serious Games. We'll see you tomorrow.